traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, the dawn is breaking on the stage that holds our final destiny. And so, my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, the show must go on. And on today's episode, I am going to perform for you one of the greatest magic tricks of all time. It is not the greatest magic trick of all time, but it is one of the greatest magic tricks of all time. And so, my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, I must call your attention to a few things. Number one, you'll see there's nothing in this hand. Number two, you will also see that there is nothing in this hand. And now, of course, you will see there is nothing in either hand. Likewise, there is nothing up this sleeve, and also nothing up that sleeve. And so you know what I'm about to do is magic. But what I do have here is a book. It's a magic book. One of the ancient Jedi texts that I will read from to let you in on a secret. Now, we are reading from Matthew chapter 16. We are going from verses 13 to 28. So it'll be a little bit of a read, but indulge me because I'm about to do one of the greatest magic tricks of all time for you. Now, when Jesus came into the parts of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" They said, "Some say John the Baptizer, some Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus answered him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. I also tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my assembly, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. I will give to you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will have been bound in heaven, and whatever you release on earth will have been released in heaven." Then he commanded the disciples that they should tell no one that he was Jesus the Christ. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders, chief priests, and scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised up. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it from you, Lord, this will never be done to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of men." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, and whoever will lose his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his life? Or what will a man give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will render to everyone according to his deeds. Most certainly I tell you, there are some standing here who will in no way taste of death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." And so, my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, what I would like to call your attention to is the first exchange. He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And then Jesus answered him, and based on his answer, it would seem like he granted Simon Peter certain powers. That he did this because Simon Peter acquiesced maybe, or just reiterated the fact that Jesus Christ was the Son of the living God. That because he acknowledged this, Jesus decided to give him powers to reward him. But of course, that is not what happened at all. And that is the secret about being the greatest magician of the age, and perhaps the greatest magician of all time. And the bit about how he said to get behind me, Satan, you are a stumbling block to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of men. What he meant by that, when Peter told him that no, like these things aren't going to happen to you, Jesus had to tell him to get behind him, Satan, because he was out of order. Jesus already knew his true will. And anyone getting in between him and his true will was getting in between him and the work of the Father. Jesus was the greatest magician of the age and perhaps the greatest magician of all time. And so what's the secret to that? How was he able to give Peter magical gifts? How was he able to do that? Well, because he was the greatest magician of the age and perhaps the greatest magician of all time, that's why. But of course, real recognizes real. He wasn't the greatest magician of the age and perhaps the greatest magician of all time until Peter recognized him. And the only way Peter could have recognized him is if he also knew the same thing about himself. My traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, you are currently staring, as I hope you well know, into a black mirror. And at the moment, I am your reflection. And if I am telling you that I am the greatest magician of the age, and perhaps the greatest magician of all time, what does that make you? You couldn't be seeing me or hearing me unless you already understood the same thing about yourself. And that is one of the greatest magic tricks of all time. And that's why my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, together you and I will perform the greatest magical trick of all time. We will reverse the polarities of the world, make America great for once, fly this boat to the moon somehow, shift the world onto the mega happy timeline, leaving it perhaps a much better place than it ever has been before. Because we are, my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race, lost in time and lost in space and meaning.